Hey, it's Em, here to talk about other things I've watched recently. I did a Thursday Murder Club video exclusively, but let's backtrack and talk about other things that I have watched recently. Recent being relative, because it's been a couple months since I've seen some of these. But we'll start with Black Bag, which we streamed. That is the Steven Soderbergh spy movie with Michael Fassbender and Cate Blanchett. It was good. It was almost like he wanted to do a Mr. and Mrs. Smith, but more of the intellectual type instead of an action version. I liked it. It didn't feel like anything special to me or anything like that. It was entertaining. I'm glad I didn't bother to go see it in the cinema, though, because I don't think it would have been worth it to me to spend the money and see it on the big screen. So I usually like Soderbergh. I didn't dislike this. It was just kind of there. So I don't have a whole lot to say about it. If you've seen it, let me know what you thought. I don't know. It wasn't as intense or anything. I thought the big finale was kind of fun, but yeah. Anyway, and then we saw Fantastic Four in the cinemas on opening night, actually, and I really liked it. Now, I'm not a big comic book person, at least not the Fantastic Four. I read Spider-Man as a kid and Superman, the core stuff. I wasn't even really a Batman person. So I don't have a lot invested in these characters or their story. I've never seen any of the other Fantastic Four movies. So, I was going in kind of fresh without a lot of expectation. And I thought it was good. There were a couple places where the CGI, I could tell, maybe needed to be refined a little more. But for the most part, as a Marvel movie, considering lately I've been kind of tired of them and unimpressed by them, I've skipped several of the most recent ones. I liked Thunderbolts, and I liked this. Yeah, I liked it. Those first few minutes with the flashback, I was kind of like, ugh. And then after that, it kind of got rolling. Now, did I buy that moment of her bringing the baby out to tell the crowd she wouldn't give... Like, you're not going to tell me that crowd is so well behaved somebody wasn't going to snatch that baby and offer it to... But whatever. Like, sure, suspend disbelief for a hot minute, I guess. I thought that the cast worked well together. I thought it was nice that they kind of tried to give equal time to everybody, I feel. I think Ben maybe got the short end of that, but Joseph Quinn as Johnny was really good. I like that they made Johnny not just a doofus. He contributed. And I think Sue and Reed, they worked, it felt real to me as a relationship where, there's a balance there. So yeah, I enjoyed it. I took my teenage boys to Naked Gun because they kept hearing that it was really good. And it was fun. I had shown them the Leslie Nielsen one, and my youngest was not a fan of that. But he had heard that this one was funny, and he actually really enjoyed this one. So there's that. For me, the snowman sequence is the best part of the movie. But overall, yes, I didn't laugh as much as I expected to laugh based on the reviews, but I still really enjoyed it. I like seeing Liam Neeson do something other than, intense whatever. I like seeing him be silly. So... And then finally we watched K-pop Demon Hunters. When I heard that it was getting that weekend release in cinemas, I finally said, okay, this is enough of a phenomenon. I've just got to see what this is about. And I really liked it. I even, put some of the songs on my Spotify liked songs list. So, I mean, is it rote? Yeah. It's very, very rote, very basic. But I was entertained, and I did indeed put my phone down and pay attention. The animation was good. A lot of people said it was like amazing. I was like, this is fine. I think I'm not as into the more modern styles of animation. I like my old anime style stuff. So, but this was fun. This was fun. It was entertaining, I should say. And I liked the cat and the bird. I think those were fun. Anyway, I took one of those stupid quizzes, and I'm Mira apparently. So there you go. And then finally, we went and saw the roses. What a waste of potential there. Okay, so I have never read the book by Warren Adler, but I was a kid in the 80s, and Michael Douglas and Kathleen Turner were a thing. We'd seen them in Romancing the Stone, and, you know, they had, I guess, bankable chemistry. So when they did War of the Roses, you had to see War of the Roses, and I loved that movie. And I was like, oh, you know what? This feels like a story that's due for an update, a reboot, something, a comeback. So I was excited, and I love Andy Samberg. And so I was like, oh, interesting. They've kind of expanded the cast a little bit here. And yeah, it wasn't good. The more I thought about it afterwards, the more disappointed I was. But like, it's just The War of the Roses, and again, I've never read the book, but for maximum entertainment, what you need is this kind of escalating to the point of over-the-top, absurd, antic, knockdown, drag-out animosity. What we got was, it was almost like they were trying to make it a little too realistic to a modern marriage, right? We've got, you know, imbalances of power. You know, they both want a career, they both want recognition for their work, but somebody needs to be home with the kids. I'm like, why? You could get a nanny. Like, you could get a nanny. Like, if you can afford to build this big, magnificent house, you can get a nanny and you can both work. I mean, what? But okay, whatever. And they would fight and argue and then walk it back and make up. And then they'd have a little, you know, incident where there was tension, and then they'd walk it back and make up. And it was just like, not funny. And then they have these friends. Okay, so the characters, Olivia Colman plays Ivy, whose wardrobe, I think they were trying to go for, let's make her the colorful, quirky dresser to show that she has personality, and everybody else is kind of dressed drably. But the wardrobe was like crazy distracting. Maybe because the movie wasn't offering me anything to focus on, but so Ivy and Theo, they meet, cute. Within 2 minutes, she's like, oh, but I'm about to move to America. And he's like, well, I'll just come with you. Like, what? And so they immigrate to America, to explain why we have two British leads in the rest of this American setting story, I guess. But then, like, they meet their friends at a gun range or whatever, and it's like, haha, Americans and guns. But we don't even know how they met these people. I think one of them is another architect. Theo is an architect in this, as opposed to being a lawyer. And I don't know, like, I'm like, if you're going to give us a bunch of friends, then we need more to go on with the friend group. But all we get is Kate McKinnon repeatedly hitting on Theo in weird ways, and Andy Samberg not really being able to unleash his funny side. I think the one scene between him and Allison Janney as dueling lawyers was probably the best we got from that. And, well, there's a dinner scene where Theo and Ivy are being mean to each other, and the guests are getting uncomfortable, and Andy Samberg's like, what? And I almost felt like Andy Samberg hadn't read a script and didn't know what the people around him were about to say, and he was literally just like, what is happening? that was kind of entertaining, but only because I was making up that story in my head. Anyway, I had to entertain myself through this movie, if that tells you anything. Also, we were the only 3 people in that whole cinema. So, I don't know. Guess there's not a big call for this film. It was trying to be a little too even-handed and a little too modern, realistic, as opposed to being the and even up to the end, spoilers, I guess, where like there's a gas leak and we realize that the fireplace, like, but we don't get the big finale, you know, we don't get the house blowing up or whatever we're supposed to. It just fades to white. So, yeah, I mean, my husband said, you know, it would have been a better story if you had Andy Samberg and Allison Janney's lawyers as the central thing and the 2 couples, and like it escalating through the lawyers and the lawyers. I don't know. There might have been a million better ways to do this story and make it funny and entertaining, and it didn't feel comedic enough and it didn't feel dark enough. It was just 2 people in a really bad marriage trying to like not be in a bad marriage. And it was, you know, there's this scene where you save a whale. So instead of Oliver in the Michael Douglas one having what he thought was a heart attack or whatever, and Kathleen Turner's character realizing she doesn't want to be married, Theo has a spiritual moment of saving a beached whale and realizing he doesn't want to be married to Ivy anymore. And they fight over the house because Ivy is a chef. She's a successful chef of a chain of seafood restaurants. And so her money paid for Theo to build their dream house. So she's like, well, she wants the house because she paid for it. He wants the house because he conceived it. But there's not a whole lot. The house is beautiful, but there's not a whole lot of just you feeling really invested in it. It's more just like money versus design, I guess. But I never felt real tension. I never felt real passion between these characters, whether that passion was love or hate. I never felt like they really wanted the house, or that they were even just arguing over the house to hurt one another. Like, there was just nothing there, and it just wasn't good, and it wasn't fun. The stuff that was supposed to be fun still wasn't fun. There's a point where, like, Theo gets drunk on an airplane. That was kind of funny, I guess. And then later, Ivy gets drunk while she's out. I said to my husband, I said, you know, the key is to be drunk at the same time. Like, you get drunk together at the same time. That's how successful marriage works, by the way, guys, if you need to know. That's how it works. So it wasn't good. Go watch the 1989 one if you really need your War of the Roses fix. I should read the book, actually. I'm curious about it. I don't even know if like my library would have this book. I don't know how popular or common this book was, but anyway, yeah, it was a huge disappointment, sadly, despite a really good cast. They just did nothing with. They had too many side characters. You know, Ivy has her like staff at the restaurant, and then there's their friends and the lawyers. Well, one of their friends is the lawyer, and you know, a couple of friends are also architects, and it's just I don't know. They were trying to cram too many people in there, and then not giving them anything to do except like stand around at a barbecue or sit around a table or whatever, and it wasn't funny. It just wasn't funny. It was really just watching 2 people try to navigate a marriage, and it wasn't even like that entertaining to watch them navigate the marriage. So, and yeah, and they have kids who go away to some kind of athletic camp or something. All of the issues that they tackle were true and relevant to people who have been in long-term relationships. But that doesn't mean it's something that's interesting to watch. You know what I mean? Like, it's just that alone does not make it entertaining. Yes, it's true that you have to figure out the balance of, you know, the breadwinner versus a lot of things, but it just, I don't know. This did not even do that in an entertaining way. And, that's what movies are for, to entertain. So that's that. I'll stop whining about it. I'm just bummed that I wasted time and money on it. So yeah, if you've seen any of these, have any thoughts on any of them, I'd love to hear about it. And I'm almost done reading The Bewitching. And I'm still working on Queen of the Damned. So one of those things will come next. Some kind of bookish video will come next. I'm also about to start rehearsals for a show that I'm going to be in. So I won't be doing quite as much reading and viewing as normal because I will be learning lines, which is something I haven't had to do in a very long time. So hopefully I can do this. But yeah, and until next time, take care.